News happens on its terms, so we give it to you on yours, the way you want it, anytime you need it. On the air, on Today 95.1 FM. News happens on its terms, so we give it to you on yours, the way you want it, anytime you need it. On the air, on Today 95.1 FM. Court, are you ready? Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
As one, living in harmony and peaceful coexistence in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, and the entire South-South zone of our great nation, Nigeria. One word, one vision, one mission, one message. Let's
The voice of the people.
95.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back.
Wake up to today's quest.
Wake up.
All the news and information you need in one go. Get started with the best of sports, lifestyle, analysis, and Annie.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Can you feel it? Wake up to today's quest with Annie on Today 95.1 FM from 6 to 11 a.m. weekdays. Fantastic.
All right, to apologize for that break in transmission. We had a little technical hitch there, but thank goodness for the engineering department. We're back on board now. So we'll continue with the conversation we have been having. We've been talking on the Nigerian Human Rights Commission's position on the 18 people killed so far by different security agencies in trying to enforce the stay-at-home orders by different state governments or that by the federal government. And the NHRC is saying those numbers are far too high. And we're also looking or juxtaposing that against the 12 deaths recorded by the pandemic. And for quite a number of people, the issue is, well, the pandemic isn't even killing Nigerians as much as the security agencies are. And that conversation graduated to the grading of the Nigerian life. What values are attached to the Nigerian life by Nigerians? Because Nigerians, they're first Nigerians before they occupy any space where we see them either leaders or security agents. And we're trying to channel now how we got to that point. Where did we begin to devalue ourselves to that point where death of a human life to us is like water over eggshells? Just before we took on that break, I was going to move on to Opaka Dokubo. I had Opaka Dokubo on the mic.
Okay. Well, for me, I'm really concerned because maybe yes, Amnesty International is talking about those government officials bearing arms doing it. That's the security agencies, the ones the security agencies have killed. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking that beyond that, there are so much more that may die, not of the coronavirus itself, but related causes.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking already that this is an act that most Nigerians will do. This, yes, because their security agencies perhaps it's in the picture. But because averagely, the other Nigerian person is more concerned about themselves than the next person's life. So if they will do anything that will progress this and you have to die because of that, it's of no mean. It doesn't mean anything to them.
Yeah, because we're talking about these palliatives and a lot of people are they have the opportunity, they will hoard them. They wouldn't mind getting it out to anybody. They definitely will have to. I mean, they were just looking for, and it's not just about the next person. Sometimes these things happen at the very highest levels of government and government officials. They have voted out the money. They've brought out the items, but how to let them get down is another matter altogether. So you find a lot of complications. I mean, a lot of things. The way we sharing the palliatives, there is no structure, there is no organization.
Precisely.
Everybody just doing what gets to them, just anyhow. And if that continues, you can be sure that some are going to get so much, and others would probably get nothing. So we are likely going to have a lot of unfortunate incidents coming from, related to this whole management of the COVID-19 incident. That's why I think that government needs to properly organize. A situation, individuals wake up, they go to wherever they want to go to and begin to share whatever they call them, the palliatives or whatever. And then organizations go do their own thing wherever the spirit leads them. And then government itself gets into the streets to do whatever they want. I mean, it doesn't look structured, honestly. And like I said, if you get it that way, you can be sure that people will have so much and others will have little or nothing. And
it doesn't matter, really, because
nobody.
You're only going to have a pack of Indomie and die by tomorrow. So what?
Everybody feels good. I'm doing this, and you want to put it in air. Oh, this is a time these people who have so much to do, they just feel good that this is what they are doing. I wonder if it really gets down. If government itself, the way government is getting about it, whether they are really after they really have it, doing it out of responsibility, or they just want to, at a time like this, we did this. I don't understand the spirit with which they are doing what they are doing. But we need to get down to that point where you are convinced within your heart that, look, this is about lives and we want to touch lives. And that is when and only when you will be able to do a good job. With regard to this security forces thing, one side of it is the security forces doing this. The other side is what Dr. Emmanuel has always hinted at. We have so much illegal arms, and our boys have gotten so emboldened by these arms that they have that they can freely confront any security agent anyhow, anytime. It is, and mind you, the security agent with his rifle does not also want to die.
True.
And if he knows that, look, this person, you might just be seeing one person coming at you, but you never can tell, and you'll be wondering what is giving him this boldness to walk up to me and do it. And you realize, he just might be anything. If I'm not careful, this rifle, he will take it from me, and then he will have no qualms. Getting you out of the way. So we have put our own security agencies also on edge at every point in time. They are also very alert. And so the moment he is not so sure of what will happen, you can be sure he will just look for an easy way out. And that is when he releases it. So if we don't get to that point where we control, we have a finger on the so much arms and ammunition is illegal within the system. This continuous suspicion of who is doing this, we don't know where it's coming from. I don't need to give him its space to mess me up or do. will always be there. Our security forces will always be on edge.
Okay. All right, then. Pakadapo got your thoughts on that. Let me move on to Amor Person Bobo Sofri. And I'm looking at it from this angle now. You mentioned earlier that the reflection of the Nigerian human life could be equated to the value of our naira and how governments over time have continually devalued the naira.
Yeah. And devalued the citizen.
And of course, and that equates the devaluation of the Nigerian citizen. If we accept that as a mode as to how we have gotten to where we are, of course, with other attendant issues, how do we reverse the trend? Do we just make the naira go back to $1 and that solves it? How do we reverse the trend?
And it's what I call the exchange rate grammar of citizens' life.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The exchange rate should be used as a thermometer to measure the quality of life and the value of the average citizen in Nigeria between 1919 and 2019. And our position, our hypothesis is that it has been constantly on a downward slide.
On the negative, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And the amazing thing, just like you said, is that no government, even President Buhari, who as a candidate, mouthed that possibility of focusing on the exchange rate.
Right.
As soon as he was sworn in, the reverse happened. That's part of the point I was making in my critique of Atiku Abubakar's memo to the federal government, which is laudable, saying, let's not let COVID-19 effort just concentrate on health issues. Let's also look at our economy. And my argument is, hey, brilliant. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, anytime he talks, we expect to see some executive insight, which he seems to have brought. But he's also one of the emerging business emperors of Africa. So we expect him to show us the power of money. He didn't come in his memo. Why? Because the Nigerian political elite since 1999, unlike any other group in our history, the Nigerian political elite have totally abandoned enhancing the value of life of the Nigerian. I'll give you good examples.
Yes, please.
The first example is, look at the way we are managing COVID-19. And you'll be surprised that the management of COVID-19, it appears to be worse than that of the 1918 to 1920 influenza. They report the Spanish influenza hit Nigeria 1918 to 1920 and killed people. In fact, one of the data available to us, which we are still contesting with those who put that number
together
forward, is that 300,000 died in the Port Harcourt area. When they mean Port Harcourt area, it covers the old Oil Rivers province, including Calabar, Ogoja. We are contesting it because we are saying the accuracy of that figure is not quite above board in terms of comparative data they brought from other parts of the country. Now, the important thing is this. The colonial government went out with a principle, a policy framework. That policy framework was informed by an assumption that, one, death rate will be higher in Nigeria's new urban centers for the simple reason of overcongestion, crowding. Two, poor sanitation. Areas with poor sanitation will experience higher death rates. Those two assumptions informed their response mechanism. So they put out a program to deal with the various centers of population based on these two assumptions. Do you understand? Ask me, what is the central assumption which the Nigerian government at state level and local government level today is working on about managing COVID-19? All of this army of goodwill Samaritans, people who've all stolen our money and made us poor, and therefore they also took our money, traveled overseas and brought us COVID-19. They are the ones now coming to tell us how to avoid COVID-19 so that they can survive. What is the philosophy of their campaign? Are they saying to us, Nigeria, to show scientific and systematic approach to management of COVID-19. We have seen that this is the area of population concentration. Wherever we have this number of people, these are the kind of measures we are going to put in place. There is not that structure. That structure should have made every state, based on assumed population, to have the number of insulation centers that will reflect the population strength of the area, showing that you care about the people, showing that every human life should be given equal access to survive in a period of crisis like this. We are not seeing that. Delta State announced, for instance, they have 11 isolation centers.
Yeah.
You are aware of that?
Yes.
So you will say, since Delta has 11 isolation centers, given their population below 5 million, states that have 5 million and above should have, the federal government should be encouraging those states to say, based on your population, this is the number of isolation centers we think you should have, and this is the kind of incentive we are going to give you to meet that, because every life counts for us. You don't see that. And you don't see that. So in terms of management, we are as primitive as before 1918 in terms of our management approach. What we see is a stampede. Everybody jumping on people and saying, and this is where I must commend the governor of Rivers State. When the curfew was announced, some of us approached him through open letters and said, Your Excellency, you've been listening to us. You've got to listen to us this time. There is no point in punishing a whole population for the offense of a few, because they will suffer. What is their offense? And quickly, he listened. We wish our political elite will listen to the ordinary people of this country. And here I must disagree with Dr. Ryan. There are no leaders in Nigeria. There are very few. We have political elite. We don't have leaders. A leader is somebody I believe in. Somebody who is looking for a better future for all of us. Somebody who can show us how a society can move from point A to point B in progress. Not somebody who takes all the opportunities and resources and monopolizes them so that we can remain first his supporters, then we graduate to become his servants, and finally find ourselves as his slaves.
Okay.
That's not leadership. I think that what these people are doing to Nigerians is gradual evaluation of our lives.
Fine, we've gotten to that. This is what we've degraded ourselves to this point. Here we are at minus sub 0.0000.
Yep.
How do we reverse that trend? What are the first steps we must start putting in place?
First thing is what we are doing.
Acknowledging that,
hey, guys, don't deceive us. You are devaluing our lives. You made us to support you. Now you turned us to your servants. Next thing, we become your slaves. We are not going in that direction. Second thing is to begin to show an alternate agenda. An alternate agenda for which we need to mobilize a lot of support to get government
attention.
To move in that direction. I told you what happened. That we are lucky, Governor Nyesom Wike in Rivers State listened to us. And so if we come with the right ideas, no matter how radically defensive people in government may appear to be, we can break through with the force of facts and honesty of purpose. We need to mobilize more people to look into issues and to say, Governor, President, Senator, this is where we want to go. Right now, there is a stampede to share COVID-19 palliatives in an undocumented and unstructured manner. And from what Opaka has told us, it's a prescription for crisis. It's a prescription to further devalue the lives of our people. And this is happening only because those who are doing these things don't really care about us. So we should say to them, no, if you want to do COVID-19 palliatives, tell us what area you want to do and what quantity of goods you want to put there, so that there will be no duplication.
In general, to reverse this trend where we have diminished our value to this point, Nigerians as a whole must get into gear, must decide which manner we must move going forward.
Yes.
And you're saying, like we did here in Rivers State, and I think you mentioned at one point a particular group you're in, a football group that took an initiative and got the attention of local governments and certain things. This must be actions taken out by Nigerians who understand what we can do. We can begin to do that.
We can begin to do that. Professional groups, those who are listening to us on radio, there is nothing that stops us from having a 95.1 group to support government's effort in managing COVID-19, where we set out a blueprint of how to administer those palliatives so that it can be effectively transmitted and ennoble the quality of life of our people. Right. We should be targeted in terms of our response.
Okay, we got that. Thank you so much. It's already 10:30, so we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with Real Talk.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
With the dawn of the global pandemic, coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, we have been advised to self-isolate and observe social distancing rules. We at Today 95.1 FM want to tell you that while you self-isolate, it is important that you take this time out to get a skill, improve on your old and existing skills, read a book, listen to educational tapes, work out if you need to, bond with your family. Don't just spread fear and panic, self-isolate and grow. Make this time count for you. This message is brought to you by Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
95.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back. Real talk.
Real talk.
But
it is the head that is supposed to push the followers.
Today, 95.1 FM, we bring you insights, intrigues, and happenings on the local politics of the Niger Delta.
But if that property you have somewhere worth that 1 billion is tied to a fraud of state money, if you can prove it's your personal money, you didn't commit any crime.
Join us every weekday, 9:45 a.m. to 11 a.m. Real talk. Keeping it real.
Welcome back. It's 32 minutes after 10. It's time to move on to Real Talk. And for Real Talk, we're looking at River State and some shop owners around Ajib USD gate access of Ikwere Road have continued to decry the high rate of alleged harassment by security agencies. The shop owners who deal on building, plumbing, materials, printing, photocopying told our correspondent that security operatives have been harassing them for opening their shops. Listen to this.
Arrest some people and then you bail yourself out before they will be released. If not, you'll be detained. They said they'll take you to court. So unless you bail yourself out, then you'll be released. So they begin that. They arrested us for the 4 of us. Then the following day, they arrested 2 people. And all these people have to pay the same. We are on UAT road. We are not in a market. Some of us pay 3,000, some pay 5,000. Depending on negotiation.
I deal on built materials. We are having issues for the past weeks in respect of this COVID-19. I know during the broadcast from the governor, he made mention of my 3 markets and some other markets. I've not heard him say shops at Ikwere Road or these our houses, UST, should remain closed. No, he never said so. But the security agencies within this our area, they have been arresting our people, putting them on detentions.
We are suffering the same thing, though they have not arrested me. But each time they keep us in panic.
One of the arrested victims who narrated his experience said he was arrested and released after paying the sum of 3,000 naira.
Some of them were asked to pay 3,000, some 5,000 naira before they could release them. Please, we are not in the market. I mean, my trade market or town market. And where we are is like an isolated place. What I mean by isolated place, a shop where 1 person or 2 will enter, get something and leave. They don't come to crowd the place. If they are in doubt, we can send representatives. So I don't know why we should be embarrassed by arresting us when we open our shops and stay by the corner of it. They should allow us open our shops so that we can get at least food on our table.
All right, that's the point for conversation for Real Talk. Shop owners who says they're being harassed by security agents yet again, and in this case, they've got to negotiate and bill themselves 3,000, 5,000. It depends on how much value you place on your shop or yourself, and then you can get yourself bailed and returned to your shop. They're claiming that, look, the directive was, and we heard in the broadcast pretty much, that markets within these regions should be shut down. And they're saying, look, they're not with the markets. They are shops, and they open as other shops are opening in other regions. They don't know why they need to be targeted. And they said particularly because we need to open shops to make our daily earnings and then feed, which I would also link to the group of people who are complaining about the palliatives being spread or being shared, and saying that's not enough for them to sit back at home. The amount that is getting to them is not enough for them to not go out and make a living. It's not enough for them to say, well, today I wouldn't go out and look for what to eat because I've received enough that can cater for my family and I. So if people who have legit businesses like these shop owners can't go, how much palliatives are they getting to ensure that, well, we'll shut down for this period, even if we're not markets per se, but we're also getting enough to ensure that they and their families do not go hungry during this period. Mano.
Yeah, I want even to focus on the broadcast of the governor. I didn't hear about shops. What I heard is beer parlors. That perhaps the shops at Dube that is reporting said something like building materials.
Plumbing.
And I don't think plumbing materials and building materials are beer that people could gather and start drinking. Unfortunately, I think I have said it, the overzealousness on the part of our security operatives create this problem. During the time for the curfew, I don't know, maybe there's something unique or peculiar to that at Jeep Junction to Maitre. Once their vehicles come there, they raid everybody on site and put in a van. Maybe the social distancing and all that will no longer recognize. They'll carry them. But as soon as you raise your hand there in the van and pay 3,000, no, you didn't commit anything again. You are relieved. So I really don't understand what is going on. Now, these people are in that small shops. Anybody that has seen them, like myself, will notice that they are in isolated area apart from the market and the Maitre and all that. So why should they not open? Did the governor also order them to close? I didn't hear that personally. But if you pay 3,000 according to what they have narrated, and if it's anything to go by, that means if you pay that 3,000, you remain and your store still open, perhaps you still continue distributing the COVID. So what is it that people will be collecting money? It looks like this time has become maybe a time to enrich the operatives in various maybe agencies and all that. The fact remains that I don't know how government is keeping tabs on this. Because you also remember, many stories have come about the border closures and all that. Government has not said anything about that. Nothing. The Commissioner of Police also have not said anything about that. So what is going on that they will be extorting people like this in the midst of poverty, as it were, induced by the COVID?
All right, Emmanuel, got your thoughts there. Dr. Emmanuel Irayanema.
A simple case of another insincerity in government's policy, particularly as it relates to the fighting of COVID-19. When somebody says he didn't hear it from the governor's broadcast, it makes me laugh. Because I'm very much aware that it was the same governor who gave a public broadcast saying that the curfew will be at certain places from dusk to dawn, only for his commissioner to come the next morning and define dusk to dawn to meaning 24 hours. And we didn't hear the governor come out to say no, or I did a mistake initially. Perhaps his commissioner knew how to define it better. You can also imagine that these security agents will have also started defining a market in the same way the commissioner defined
dusk to dawn
from the governor's state. So those of them that are saying in the governor's broadcast they didn't hear that, they should take a cue from that to know that perhaps this was also what the governor meant. That's on the lighter side. Having said that, we also need to look at, are governments actually serious, or do they actually understand what this COVID-19 is all about? Look, when you talk there, you mentioned a case where there is a social distancing protocol as part of the things we have for COVID-19, but then when they bundle the people, they put them into vans together.
It also markets those who exceeded it.
Promoting the same thing they claim they want to, and that's why you also find those protecting people also shooting people. It's neither here or there, because I also did see the one, the person they picked, the governor himself went to arrest at Caverton. It was same lumped. You took people you said you wanted to be sure they didn't have, you're still lumping them together. Those are the kind of things we find. So the truth of the matter is this: our governments must be sincere with what she's doing. People being locked down are agitating. For me, I would say one simple thing. There is no way. All of us must understand that there's need for some level of sacrifice at this time. There is no way government or anybody will give us everything that will make us live normally.
Yeah.
Even when there was no lockdown, as it were, we were complaining there is hunger in the town. So we should understand that level of. But my concern and bitterness, as it were, is that we are making these people take advantage of we crying that we are hungry to give us a bigger hunger in future in the name of fighting COVID-19. Otherwise, how do we explain where a government says she's voting out? How many billion did they say they are voting out for COVID-19? 2 billion naira for provision of food, and all we are seeing on the street is a pack of spaghetti.
Not a carton.
An Indomie. 2 billion naira.
Indomie,
one packet of it.
Sachet
of the one the children take. It's what they are busy. 2 billion naira has been voted out. This cry, we should hold on so that we don't end up giving people excuses as to why we are totally poor finally after COVID-19. COVID-19 will come and go. Let's just join them quietly and help this COVID-19 from spreading. Not spreading better.
All right, we got your thoughts there. Shop owners are saying, look, we're not supposed to be part of the people being shut out. We're supposed to go about our businesses. We need to make a living and feed our people. And we're saying, well, for those who also have had to have their businesses shut down and perhaps palliatives were shared to this group of people, they're also complaining that what has been given is not enough.
See, we need to, when government comes up with a program or a policy, they need to follow up with the mechanism of finding out how this program or policy is actually working. If you don't do that and you just make a statement and leave it out there, of course, every other person can take advantage of it. And I think that is what is happening. The police or any other law enforcement agents for that matter, what we have found, even for the civilians, the task forces and all that, the moment you just say something and you have no way of finding out what they are doing on the field, they can go and do anything. At the end of the day, nobody takes responsibility. Everybody just on their own. These people are complaining now. Who is even listening? Who are they complaining to? Who is taking them seriously? Where are they supposed to take their complaints to?
Yeah.
It's everything is just open-ended, just like that. So in their frustration, they just call a radio station. This is what we see, and then we just do our very best and leave it out there. Because even now, even the radio station that you call to we can only magnify it and let whoever needs to hear. But then, what actions will be taken or not taken is out of your hands. So for me, I think one thing is very clear. if you're going to dish out any policy or program, you have to be as explicit as possible. Make it very clear and very open that, look, this is what you mean. You know, that controversy about 24 hours and dusk to dawn. Yesterday when I was listening to Okowa, Okowa had to, I don't know whether it's going to be heard of.
Yeah, this one, so you need to be careful.
He was so explicit. He said, look, dusk to dawn, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yep.
And I was wondering why he had to do that. And quickly my mind ran to what happened here. So we need to be very, very specific so that people really do know. But beyond that, most importantly, honestly, whether it's the police or any other security agency for that matter, and especially the government, we need to put a tab on what is happening to our people. If what you have talked about is actually for the benefit of these people, then you should know how it is actually affecting them. And then let's always have, let there be a feedback mechanism where you can get what is happening and then be able to respond appropriately to them. That's the only way you would have done justice to the people. But to continue to leave it the way it is, it's really not the best. The police we're talking about, they also have their own officers and their hierarchy. And you just, that place now, there's a police station directly.
Directly, yeah.
And then there's a DPO there. And I'm sure he cannot say he's not aware of what his men go there to do. And then, when this type of complaints now comes, who takes responsibility? Who is supposed to answer for this? 3,000 they take, and then we also hear of these same things at the borders, where you say borders are closed.
They're coming in every day.
People are coming in and people are going. Now, the other day somebody was telling me of how we were going to Yenagoa and then go. I said, before my office, that's where they used to load. Is there anybody loading there? I said, no, you won't see them openly, but if you want to go there now, there's a place where we can take you, where you can enter. How did they go out? How did they come in? Is there no way government can send, intelligence, go down there and see for yourself what is happening, so that what you are trying to fight is not just in vain. You don't just do the policy and then leave it out there. For these people to, at the end of the day, rubbish everything that we're doing. We more than anything else, you want to appeal to the conscience of everybody else. That look, whether you're security agencies or not, this is also about you. That your security agency, nothing insulates you from from this infection. So if you are given a certain responsibility and then to enforce certain rules and regulations, it's out there for you as well. They themselves are not even protected in any way. The police, they're not. So why are you just open up as if you are above every other thing and then you are the one that can just and get away with it? You won't get away with it. So we honestly, for me, let government be able to put a tab on the activities of our people, and it's doable. There's nothing too difficult to do. But if we don't, it still now comes down to whether we really are doing this for the benefit of the people, or we're not putting up a show. If we're not sure we're not putting up a show, then we need to do it properly.
Mm-hmm. All right, Pakadokubo, thank you for your position on that. I'm not pausing the board. Let's get over to you.
I think the main points have been made. That one, our system, we are getting used to a society in which institutions no longer reflect efficiency. And that's very, very important. When institutions are no longer projecting and protecting efficiency and efficient standards, then you see a breakdown. That's what everybody is complaining about. We see things, we can't account for them. We don't know how to hold anybody accountable. So right from the first word, the planning process must have room for accountability and for control. It's a good thing that the government of Rivers State, along with other Niger Delta state governments, has provided, shall I say, a front example of how we need to go. Set out some funds to manage palliatives, but we need to be more transparent. What are the structures to deliver these palliatives? At what level? People need to know so that we know when we are getting full value of what government intended or whether we are not getting that. In Port Harcourt, how many of such distribution centers are we going to have? How are we going to get them? Can we name them, the points of distribution, so that people in those areas will know? There has to be a clear plan that is transparent, so that everybody knows that this is not a cover for, that our inefficiency is not a cover for something more sinister. Secondly, we also need to recognize that in the last 10 years, there has been an explosion in the number of media establishments, especially radio, in Rivers State. I remember in 1982-83, one radio station, Radio Rivers, took care of all the interests of the Niger Delta. Anywhere you were tuning to get to 99.1, right? The early morning in the 70s, early morning in Gongola State, I'll be trying to, you have to wake up 4 a.m. to try and catch Radio Rivers before the signals fade off. Today, you have about 12 radio stations in Port Harcourt alone, directly based here. So we expect that government should include the radio stations in their planning process so that the radio it is the easiest, most accessible way of people to get information. And that's why in their frustration, people who feel left out, people who feel marginalized, people who feel that they are targets of extortion, run to the radio. Radio becomes the only way by which they can vent their disadvantage. We think that the government should maintain constant touch with radio stations, include them in the planning process, and use them to let the public know what to expect. But above all, government must show that it is responsive. I just said here that when we had the story of this curfew thing imposed on sections of Port Harcourt, some of us felt bad and we did open letters on different platforms, which gladly the governor responded to. Whether it was the ones we did or the ones others did, the important thing is that he showed responsiveness. But that's not a favor. It is what we expect government to do. We are glad that our governor responded to show responsiveness. Let us also have a mechanism that makes this part of governance, that once any issue is on the table, this is the feedback mechanism. The public should know how they can get redress. Once the government does that, I still believe that COVID-19 offers Rivers State and the rest of the Niger Delta a chance to put our house in order in terms of health management services and raising the quality of life of our citizens. And that must be the focus, the philosophy of the management of this crisis for our government. Everything we are doing, we should address it from the point, how can we be seen by the rest of the country and the outside world as being ahead? How can we ensure that the quality of life of our citizens improve from the way we manage this crisis? If we start from those two principles, everything we are doing will have greater value for our people. And then it is easy for our people because our people are very easy to please. The moment they see what is not the usual, they are the first to clap for you. And the government can really build consensus at the grassroots from this and build also a structure that can serve in further development management of issues in Rivers.
Especially speaking about structure that can help you. You wonder how the local governments and the state governments have existed all along without knowledge of who truly are amongst the poor of the poor, or who are within a certain bracket in their system, so that when times like this call for it, they know exactly who to target. I saw the way they were sharing palliatives in certain places, and they had no idea really who these people were. It was just like, come and get it. It could be someone who didn't need it, but just wanted to see what government was giving out. And it could be that those who truly needed it didn't even get to hear that palliatives were being given at this particular time where it was.
For 20 years.
So all this while, what happened to data?
For 20 years, we are running a system that has no value for money.
That's it.
No value for money. We don't hold the government at state level, does not hold the local government accountable. To say, you said you spent 10 million. What did you spend it on? What's the data to support these expenses? At the state level, different establishments, ministries, parastatals are not being held accountable to show value of what money.
Because the center just ran one person.
Yes, the value of what the money achieved. If you are going to spend money, you should tell us what problem you're trying to solve. At the end of the day, we want to see that problem has been solved. If it is not solved, then we hold you accountable. We have run for 20 years without value for money consciousness. It is time to bring it back. Otherwise, the crisis will bring about an implosion. And when that happens, as people were shouting in Lagos and Abuja during the week, suddenly the public gets out of control. Once they get out of control, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Of course, it's out. Deal with it. It's 56 minutes after 10. I'm going to employ that you do send us your thoughts on the issues we've been talking about, pretty much centered on human life and the value of money, if you look at it, and the systems in place, and how COVID-19, the pandemic as it were now, has pretty much opened our underbelly. But we're looking at it through the conversation we generated from the NHRC's position on the killing of 18 people by security agents in Nigeria who were trying to enforce the stay-at-home order, versus what the pandemic in itself has killed, 12 people. And from that conversation, we drew the line as to how we value human lives in Nigeria and the systems that have taken us to that point. And of course, we also touched on what we must do to retract that trend. From there, for Real Talk, we talked on shop owners around Ajib. Was it Job?
No, not just Job.
Maltri access, Ajib USD Gates access. They mentioned the fact that security agents kept harassing them and they had to bribe their way out. They had to bail their way. Let me use that word. They had to bail their way out. And they say they deal on building and plumbing materials, printing and photocopying, something that they say is not attached to the markets. And the broadcast by the governors particularly mentioned markets. They do not understand why they have to be hunted down by security agents and they have to pay these various amounts each time they come round. And they said, but they do need to open because for most of them, this is where they can make their money to feed their families. And we said, we also link that to the palliatives being made available to so many who, because of what's going on, can't access their regular livelihood. And the amount of food made available for these people is obviously more like an insult. How can they feed on that? And how can their families feed on that? And of course, we also narrated how this is for us, how we value ourselves and how we value the systems that we put in place. If we can't track who truly needs the food and what food is being made available, the figures disappear in lack of data, and then the system is manipulated by those who are supposed to operate it. It's still like the same vicious circle. We're not pulling out, we're just going in the same wind with it. What do we need to do? What do we enforce? And what must we keep on ground now going forward so that we are able to detail this? And everybody pretty much must be on board in both arms, from where NHRC viewed it and how we're looking at it from the state government. Everybody needs to be on board to ensure that the systems will favor us. But let's hear your views. Do send it to us on 070-1933-9962. That number is for our WhatsApp platform and text message portal. 070-1933-9962. On Facebook, we're Today 95.1 FM. on Facebook. Simply search for Today 95.1 FM on Facebook. Like that page. Let's get your thoughts. Tweet at us. Our Twitter handle is at TodayFM951. At TodayFM951. And then also you can call the studio lines 0817 0000951 or 0810-9510951. I'll call those numbers again. 0817 0000951 or 0810-9510951. Do not forget that you can watch us live on YouTube. Our YouTube handle or channel is Today 95.1 FM. Click on the live button when you get there. Don't forget to also click on the subscribe button so you can catch up with all our programs on that channel. From Facebook, I have Amadi Chidi who says, under this regime, lives of Nigerians are valueless because the government does not place any value on our lives. Imagine COVID-19 has killed 12, but security agents 18. This is shameful. Imiebi Geoffrey Ikpebu says Nigerian life has no value. It's evident from the way our fellows abroad are treated that when you come home, the security agents treat us with disdain. Even our political leaders treat us poorly. A Nigerian life in the markets is like buy one, get 100 free. Nasifi Ahmed says they are corona enforcement agencies. That's what we should call them. Okay, we'll send your thoughts there. We'll get back to it. Let me take a few calls. 0810-9510951. Corona Enforcement Agency. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Annie, my name is Gabriel Juju. I'm calling from Ukreka.
Good to have you. Please go ahead.
Emmanuel Obasa.
So he said, okay, to you, Obasa. He said,
Ibasa.
Who's Obasa? Ibasa, okay. It's you.
Saying good morning
to everybody. All right, thank you, but we can't hear you properly. That's why we're confused who you're speaking to.
I'm hearing you very well.
Okay, good. We would like to do the same. We'd like to hear you too.
Yeah, let me say that I am not surprised about what is happening in the country. In the past 20 years, we have seen a decay in life management in this country, and we have not seen any institution that has been built or has been established to see how we can push on the effect of social injustice against the Nigerian state over the years, including the elites. Even most of our guests in the studio, we are all faulty of this accusation. First of all, we must ask, how do we cooperate with those living around us? We have seen a lot of people in our doorstep, lacking food, lacking social amenity, and we have so much excess in our hands. Have we ever thought of being the one to champion the cause of a new Nigeria, a new narrative of changing the lives of the Nigerian state? We have not, a lot of time we talk about government. Government cannot drive any policy. The policy drivers are those who are intellectual, those who are in line in saving lives of people, who can drag government attention together, those who can establish contact to government. It's not about the locals. So that is why the security apparatus are taking that advantage to stampede the innocent Nigerians, because they are taking directive from the government. So if we have the people around us, the intellectual, the quality elite, who believe that the life of every Nigerian is very, very important, then it is going to drive a way of how government should do things. If a list can be moving around with four security judges at the side, what do you expect from the government? So we must change that narrative. Look at this morning.
All right, then we got your thoughts. Thank you very much. We've got to let you go. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Good morning, Gift. Go ahead.
Yes, everybody in the studio, good morning. Concerning the police officers, my sister Annie, whether it is COVID-19 or not, these persons, they've been disturbing Nigerian citizens generally from day one, whether COVID-19 or not, whether governor made announcement or not, they will continue. That is the problem with our Nigerian police force. Even when they remove that very force to tell us service, they don't want to still accept the service. It is still that the force. you're forcing people. Allow these owners of stores to carry on with their businesses. It's not about because I'm hungry or not. No. The governor never. In fact, even before that one area curfew and all the rest imposing on, I don't know if it is Uniport to Rumokoro and Ikwere Road, the governor never made mention of anything store. Rather, beer parlor that are turning themselves into a night
We
club.
said so, but we're saying why are the security officers then disturbing those with stores?
Right now, as I speak with you, just like most of the people in your studio are talking about even the borders, is it because of the stores at the border? As I speak with you, Indiana here in Yenegoa, the same thing is playing out. From here to Delta State, that there is lockdown.
So hold on. Before you tell me where there's a replication of this everywhere else, are you saying that because it's happening in other places, then it's okay?
I'm trying to tell you how Nigerian police force.
When we're trying to say here what we must do differently. We're not interested in why the police force.
Trying to do differently, my sister Annie. As long as it is the Nigerian police force, it has become a norm. That is what I'm trying to point at. It has become a norm. People that without even stop, without any order, they will come to football field and raid. When I was at Port Harcourt there before I left Port Harcourt for this place, I know what happened to me.
Gift. All right then.
Particular place, they broke my head with sledgehammer at Borokri.
Sorry for that. All right, thank you very much, Gift. We got your thoughts on that. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Annie, good morning.
Good morning. Where are you calling from and what's your name?
I get in the studio. This is Chriso, aka Truth Visita, Rupoku the Peaceful Community in River State. My dear sister, we are talking of COVID-19 and police have T18. Now COVID-19 has T12 in the 36 states of Nigeria, including Abuja, which is 7. The police T18 in one state. What are we talking about?
Not in one state. Nope. 12 in one state, yes.
Data.
One. Yeah, not 18 in one state, please.
Okay. Security agents are T18 and COVID-19 are T12. My dear, now are you saving life or you are coming to destroy life? Let me remind you, my sister. It was here in Nigeria that we saw Amnesty International telling Nigeria it's a strategic killing of IPOB and human rights abuse. At the end of the day, like somebody said, the government is the agent of violence. They are the one.
All right, so hold on. Let me pause you there. There's no point reiterating. Hold on. There's no point so that you maximize the time given. There's no point reiterating events as unfolded in the past. We've acknowledged that in our conversation, and we're looking at the value of the Nigerian life, and we're saying, how did we get here? How did we get here, and what must we do to reverse it?
Why we get there is this: the Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, sentence against evil work is not fully executed. The heart of children of man is found to do more. Assume that they punish a man who committed crime. Others will stay back. In a nation like Nigeria, all of you just said there, there's no accountability for anything at all. Neither state governor, nor local government chairman, neither the president. Now, if it is a place where things are working normal, that somebody that gave AK-47, at the end of the day, you display a life for your bullet and get another, and nobody else. In our presence here completely, that we are saying here and see that a nation like Nigeria spent 284 billion to conduct the election, and the INEC chairman told us that he spent 1.8 billion for server, and at the end of the day, there was no account for that server. Nobody asked me any question, and it happened. The same Nigeria that we are collecting.
So your point is lack of accountability. Lack of accountability is the problem, right?
No, what I'm telling you.
Lack of accountability is the problem as far as you're concerned. Thank you very much. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Do call back if you can, 0810-951-0951. This is from Michael the Empress. He says, humans are creatures of habit with an insatiable need and not contented simply because the world is not enough. This another here says, Annie, it's appalling and disheartening that Nigerian government maximizes any given opportunity COVID-19 has become a phase to make money. People are living and coming into River State. The police has turned it into business where you have to pay to cross. Just in, a police officer was arrested in Lagos over a bribe of 40,000 naira for a certain man to go out and get foodstuff. There is nothing like COVID-19 in Nigeria. This is a means of stealing. Kelvin, you send that from Choba. Kelvin, I beg of you, please, there is COVID-19. Yes, I agree with you that a lot have turned some of the issues around so that they can make money out of this. But that you think there's no COVID-19? No, there is indeed COVID-19. Hi, I wonder what is the problem with our police officers treating people as garbage without thinking that one day retirement will be knocking on their door. The solution to Nigerian problem is simple. Nigerians must be courageous to die for justice and fair revolution. That's all. Daniel Gibson, you send that in from Port Harcourt. Boniface Oyibo says, good morning, Annie. Barka the Hutawagida. Funny enough, you said Hutawagida, yet you're calling me where I'm at work. So there's no Hutawagida here. And then Eneke Nitoba said, since men, Eneke, I think that's the guy who, the bird, yes, okay, good. Says, men learn to shoot without missing, he'd learn to fly without perching. The fight against coronavirus seems to be between government agencies and the poor masses, as if the masses are responsible for coronavirus. The proverb explains why people are trying to disobey the lockdown order, which has created opportunity to waiting police officers. It's just a vicious circle, isn't it? Well, thank you, Boniface. Annie, good morning. Is that Ryanama in the studio, a native doctor? What are his qualifications and what's all that? What's paining you so much, Pat? Why are you so pained this morning? Does it show that funding is key? Please stop exposing our crass ignorance in this nation. Pat is obviously, Pat, I don't know if you're Dr. Eme or you're Gogo. You sent text messages of different names before, so you've got to fine-tune who you are. It seems as if there's a personality issue going on. Find out exactly who you are, first of all. The security chiefs should be queried. What are security operatives doing at roadblocks with live bullets within a peaceful civil action? One death took place at Mpo, Anambra State yesterday. Ojuku PC, you sent that in. Indeed, I read that story too on Anambra where they killed one person. But this is his query. What are security operatives doing at roadblocks with live bullets? Well, because there are other people who will pass by with live bullets and we shoot at the police. So it has to be live bullet against live bullet.
The live bullet is not the problem. It's the control of the live bullet.
Who are you using it on?
Yes. The process. There must be control.
Annie, in Nigeria, life is not sacrosanct. On the other hand, Nigerians have this exalted culture of not obeying laws, and this cut across the rank and file. So I'm not surprised at the alarming death toll arising from our ignorance, which far more surpasses what the disease could kill. James Opongwa, you send that in from Uzoba. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Yeah, hello, Annie. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Victor by name, calling from Alo, precisely.
Victor from Alo. Good to have you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the solution to our problems, people have x-rayed them to a reasonable extent. But in addition to the points you've made so far, for us to have solve our problems, I think what we should do is to have a formidable civil society. If we can have a formidable civil society that will question our government at any time and have answers to our questions, I believe we'll have a good place here in Nigeria.
Okay, all right, we got your thoughts. Thank you very much. Hello, Today 95.1. Call back if you can. This says, please, madam, always invite Daddy Amapo Sanibo Brown to your studio. He has the golden voice of Opobo Kingdom. God bless you, sir. Kenneth Davidson Stewart. He's sending this from Opobo Town. So he knows the golden voice of Opobo people.
The important thing is that Opobo people are hearing this radio. So Today FM should pay us for some.
We will, don't worry. This is, you can see how Nigerians love her people. Instead of the security to save the people, they do the job for COVID-19 by killing us themselves. But can we justify this? I think people should begin to sue security heads anytime their rights are abused. Pine or fine, you sent this in. Hello, all in the studio. You guys are doing a great job. Please, I love what the consultants have just analyzed, and I will want to I want his email to send him a proposal to consider. All right. The guest in the studio, good morning. We only hear you people on radio. Please, can I see you in my village, Ubaoiba, Ahoda West? Thanks for the analysis. We need action, Mr. Lulu. You send that in. Mr. Lulu, I don't know why you want them particularly in your own village. What makes you think they're not going to their different villages? Why must they why must they come to your village? They said, I consider it possible to do a good job. Census of Rivers residents can be timely with acceptable ID, BVN, and utility bills. Just political class is less interested. This occasion, instead of improving how we do things, rather is to make merchandise of it and gain political capital. That's from OJ. Annie, good morning. I said before, please help with your camera. Help to share the government palliatives, which is noodles, so that everybody will get their share, please. Annie, I beg, Nwaka. I don't understand. Anyways, phone lines are open. Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Annie, good morning.
Good morning, DK. Go ahead.
Yes, my greetings also to your guests in the studio, especially your August guest, Listenable. Yes, you asked a question.
Hello,
yes,
we're greeting you too.
Okay, sir. You asked a question. How did we get here where life no longer enjoys supreme value? The answer is there in the Bible. In Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11, says, when a crime is not punished speedily, people feel it is safe to do wrong. The ancient philosopher Plato said that long ago, before even the Bible was written. Extrajudicial killing has been going on in this country with impunity, without a reciprocal punishment. A police officer will tell you, I will waste you, and nothing will happen. And it has been happening. So why is it new? Why is it strange? In fact, concerning this lockdown order, I think it is unwise to order what cannot be enforced. Nigerians are just holding themselves because the hunger is not yet high. Once it continues like this, you ask people to stay indoors without making provision for them, they will be forced to go out. I don't know how many law enforcement agents we have in this country that will contain the mass of people that will defy government order. We like to copy Western countries of what they do without copying all the way. Keeping people indoors for Indomie, packets of Indomie, for how long? So that is just the simple truth. Officers who have been engaged in extrajudicial killing have not been punished. That is why it continues, and it will continue, except something is done. Thank you.
All right, DK, thank you very much. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, Annie. Today is a miracle. Good morning, Chief Ndukwe and the guests in the studio. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Mr. Sam from Woji.
Mr. Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. You see, Annie, looking at this rascality of the policemen and the task force here in the state, the truth is that the governor here is the one who is encouraging them. Because let me tell you, this is a government that came up with misinformation to the people, and the police took advantage over it and began to extort money from the people with tax force. The governor, between him and his commissioner, but the governor never came out to say what. This is a governor whereby we saw the ill treatment, the inhuman treatment that was met on Chima and 4 other of his colleagues and lead to the death of Chima. Up to date, the governor has not come out to say anything. But here is a governor, when it comes to election, he will come out and cry high heaven, how Akim Fakahode, how the GOC, how this, how that, and even tell the people to defend their vote. It doesn't matter whatever the security men are carrying, they should defend their vote. But here now, he's not coming out. We have been talking on radio how these people are extorting money from people on borders within River State. The governor has not come out to make any public statement to condemn such acts. And
all right, then.
Looking at the same people you were telling to go out and defend their vote, not minding what the consequence will be. Today, you are coming out, giving them one sachet of Indomie with a hand or cup of rice. After the 2 billion naira has been extracted.
We got your thoughts on that. Thank you. We pretty much got your thoughts on that. Thank you. On Facebook, IK Feza says human life in Nigeria does not even have value. At first, not to think of life with, in quotes, he puts true value. Precious Odom says government at all levels in Nigeria does not value citizens, especially in this period of COVID-19. ES Frank says coronavirus will be very proud of Nigerian police. 18-2, imagine. And Wem Thomas says a pet in the houses of politicians get better care than the citizens in this fraudulent people claim to be ruling. And Ogagagene Patrick Felix says it's a shame to the governors or to the government. Up to now, no government has condemned this act. Life is worthless in Nigeria. No, we've got governments, especially from some of the states where this happened. I know that of Delta State mentioned that, and that of Kaduna also mentioned. They've, as usual, will condemn the act, but I mean, it's in condemning it whether there's any concise action that follows that up, that ensures that it does not repeat itself. Pretty much what we're looking at.
Talk about condemning the act in some states. We should also take the opportunity to commend those governors in whose states there has not been this kind of abuse of power to that extent. So it will give us the opportunity to say, Rivers State, you're doing well in that regard, but please be seen as more responsive to the call out by people for attention in areas of management of the COVID-19 palliatives.
All right.
That is the way to go.
Hello, Today95.1 FM. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Shokichuku, calling from Twatamade.
Please go ahead.
Please, I want to comment concerning the extrajudicial killing of our security people.
By our security people. Okay, yes.
Yes. You let us tell ourselves the truth, and it is in the history of Nigeria, our police people has not made the kind of this period. We are telling we are the citizens and we know what is happening. They have made billions of naira. You go to the border, you will confirm what I'm trying to tell you. Secondly, if coronavirus has killed 12 of 13 about, our security have killed more than that in this period. The most special thing, what about it, our president, our governors, who's supposed to talk on our behalf, are silent. But when it comes to an election period, they will think they are defending us. Why they are not defending us? So it is alarming. I want our hello.
We can hear you.
I want our media. Our media are not helping enough. They should be going to border and check this is we are telling whether it's the truth. Our policemen are making billions, not even millions, in our borders. So that is my call.
All right, then got your thoughts. Thank you very much. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello? Hello? Well, please, I've got to let you go to call back. This says, if security men kill anybody, they should call me. I know what to do. I will not pay them. Audu is my name. Okay. All right, we'll call you. COVID-19 killed 12, while security agencies have killed 18. He says, I'm passing a bill to the Nigerian Senate to name the Nigerian security agencies COVID-18 because they have killed 18 persons. This is from Ikabio Jacob from Tombia. It's a shame that our security are not living up to expectation. It seems that our security system needs a reform. Obina from Alu. Good morning, Annie and others in the studio. Nigerians will always break the law, the lockdown order for two reasons. One, hunger. Two, they have not seen people drop dead around them like chickens, as in other Western countries. Obiora, I send that friend from LMA. Good morning, all. I thought we said the Nigerian police are neglected. COVID-19 has remembered them for good. Let's not put sand in their gari. Mike, you sent this from Port Harcourt. Good morning. I'll allow you just a period to say that. Let me just move on with good morning. I'm Ernest from Woji. All these human rights and human left group, why do they always focus on security people? Please, children are at home. They should focus on what madams and aunties are doing to their housemates and nieces. Ernest from Woji. Good day, Annie and the crew in the house. When a civilian with a gun goes from shop to shop taking money from people, it is called armed robbery. When a police officer with a gun goes from shop to shop, it's called extortion. What a tragedy. Steve from Port Harcourt sent this in. And it's quite intriguing to know that the Nigerian civil populace became irredeemably militarized from 1999 till date. And the political elites should be held accountable for the chicken status of human lives in Nigeria. Friday from Choba, you send that in. Security agencies in Nigeria, security agencies killing Nigerians while the president is congratulating them in his broadcast. Well, the truth is that they're also doing great in other areas. So if he's congratulating them, I don't think it's because they went ahead and killed people. It must be because they've done certain things that needs applause. In this case, you're saying that we threw away the baby with the bathwater. Good morning, I'm Chris O'Chris. See, until Nigerian youths activate self-defense about their life, police will continue killing them. When the police killed his citizens, media will call it alleged. But when it happens the other way around, media will judge the matter without hearing the poor, innocent people. All right. And good morning, Annie. Coronavirus is a good business. More extension, more petty, and more money. Less states with COVID-19, less money. The business is a lucrative one for the merchandise. Promise Walker, you sent this from Elele Alini. And how many of those false guys who kill innocent Nigerians have been brought to book? Until we take the IGP to ICC, things will not change. That's from Frank. Good morning. I am Godwin. My contribution is about the border closure. People complain about more treatment of security at the borders. I condemn it. But we citizens are also stubborn. We know the borders are closed. You're going in and out. Even some people call radio stations that they go in and out of the state and come back that same day. Why do we act in that manner? Which is true. You heard that the borders are closed and you're still passing by, and yet you complain that the security agents at that point are receiving money. You heard about it. And which is why we talked about Nigerians and the ability to stick with the rules. We will not stick with the rules. We will break the rules. Well, I guess some people say that's not human nature. You will break the rules. And in enforcing the rules, the security agencies seem to use extreme force. They don't know at what point where they need to pause. You were going to say something earlier on. I pushed you there.
Yeah, I was saying that
I'm not posting
we should not just hear these stories and gloss over them, move on, as we say in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
The various patrol teams at the borders were assigned from specific offices. So it's possible to hold them accountable. Right? So we will appeal to the River State government, working with the command structure of the various security services, to ensure that those at the different border posts are brought to book those who have been seen to have committed any offense. And people who have cases of extortion that they can
prove,
well, they can at least have backing for, even if not evidential proof. Get people who saw what happened, let the government indicate to what office they can write their petition to. That alone will serve as a check.
As a check.
You know, we cannot allow this. Just at the same time, we are saying police security officers who do a good job deserve commendation. They are putting their life on the line. They are exposed to COVID-19 as much as other citizens.
Exactly.
They
if not even more so.
They also have to go home to families that are expecting improvement without seeing such. But we must try to provide incentives for them for doing a good job, while we must find a way to sanction those who bring disrepute to the establishment.
All right, then. This here says, why do people always blame the media for the atrocities they brought on themselves? Is it the media that gave them rapper during election? Ernest from Woji, and I can speak for that. It's not
where it is going.
It's not the media, actually.
Where it is going.
If security, this here says, even if you pay a police constable 2 million naira monthly, he will still collect 100 naira as bribe. how much are Nigerians politicians earning, and yet they're still embezzling public funds. That is from Mr. Law. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good afternoon, my sister.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Professor Ekita. I'm calling from United States of Allah.
Go ahead.
My sister, I don't know what is happening in River State. Let me start for the issue of the distribution of this food. That one is not even our problem. My sister, come to Rumokoro now. I even started running. I think say there is a war. When they tell me say it was the South Force Kiama, escort by different type of police at Rumokoro right now, as I'm telling you. I don't know whether if they want to turn this particular state to war. That we are suffering. People cannot avoid to even eat. Even if you go to the bank in ourselves, there is no way. Everybody they are just using their power. Because they said that they want to transfer money, that if you don't have account, go and put